This is the third slide presentation of my gazebo and boardwalk project. The first one covered site preparation and gazebo framing. The second was about decking the gazebo. This one covers framing the boardwalk, designing and building the stairs, and doing the decking. Here's the scale drawing of the boardwalk. I used it to place the deck blocks as well as where the framing should go. On the left side is where the gazebo is. On the right side is where the stairs go. To make room for the boardwalk and stairs, I had to move my work tables further away from the gazebo, somewhere closer to the house. With 1 foot of gravel, I couldn't use conventional batter boards to attach string lines to lay out where the deck block should go. What I did was take some 1x4 material and held them in place with 8-inch long galvanized spikes. I laid out the deck blocks using this 3-4-5 triangle. I'd used it in my first video to position the gazebo in relationship to the house. And here are the deck blocks laid out. I inserted the 3-foot long 4x4s into the slots in the deck blocks. Now, I'd never used a water level before, but I watched some YouTube videos on their use. I held the ends of the tubing vertical with some scrap MDF and Romex staples. One end of the water level aligned with the top of the gazebo decking, and the other, in the foreground, attached to a 4x4 post. Then I measured down from the top of the water, subtracted the thickness of the deck and width of the beam to get the cut line for the 4x4. As with the gazebo posts, I first marked where the braces were before removing them to make the cuts. And the posts cut to length, and the beams in place. Notice that the beams are lower now. That's because when I used the water level, I forgot about subtracting the widths of the 2x6s that go on top of the beams. I had to remove the beams, recut the posts 5.5 inches shorter, replumb the 4x4s, then put the beams back. The beams seen from the gazebo deck, joist hangers off the gazebo rim joist, deck joist for the boardwalk, and the framing is complete. Notice the double rim joists. I wanted to hide the ends of the decking, so I ripped 5/4 decking to the width of the joist and placed them on the outer rim joists. And here I am starting the decking for the boardwalk. I think the edging gave the deck a more finished look. You'll notice the board outlined in red is not as wide as the rest. That was necessary in order to align it to where the deck widens. Experienced builders are going to be laughing their asses off on this next segment, because I have my own method of designing stairs. It requires basic drafting tools, a drafting table with a parallel 18 by 24 inch drafting vellum, drafting tape, a 10-inch 30-60-90 triangle, an architect's scale, 5mm mechanical pencil, eraser, erasing shield, plus a contractor's calculator capable of doing foot-inch arithmetic. First, I draw a line indicating the ground. Second, I draw a line indicating the top of the deck. Note, the distance is measured using an architect's scale. The drawing is at 3 inches equal 1 foot. So, every 3 inches on the scale equals 1 foot in real life. In my case, the top of the deck was 3 feet 8 3/4 inches off the ground. I want my stair risers to be around 7 inches high. From experience, I knew 7 risers would give me something close to that. So, 3 foot 8 3/4 inches divided by 7 gave me a riser height of 6 25/64 inches. For the hell of it, I tried dividing 3 foot 8 3/4 inches by 6. That gave me a riser of 7 29/64 inches. That was too high, so I stuck with 7 risers. Well, what the hell are you going to do with a fraction of 25/64? So I rounded up to 26/64, seeing if that would give me a dimension I could work with. That reduced to 13/32. That didn't do it for me. I then rounded down 1/64 of an inch, giving me 24/64. That reduced down to 3/8 of an inch. Bingo. 6 3/8 will be the height of my risers. So I drew a vertical line from the ground to the top of the deck and divided it into 7 equal parts, each being 6 3/8 inches. Next, I drew in what I already had, which was the decking and rim joist. For the decking, I used pressure-treated 5/4 by 6. The rim joist was a 2 by 6, also pressure-treated. Now I drew in my first tread. I typically use 5/4 inch deck boards for my tread. Deck boards are 5.5 inches wide, and a 1/4 inch gap between them gives you a tread of 11 1/4 inches. I drew in my riser and my second tread. I'll be making my risers out of 2 by 8s ripped down to the correct width. I continued drawing my stairs until I got to the ground, and that gave me a completed scale drawing of the stairs. Next, I drew a line at the foot of the stairs, intersecting the points where the bottom of the treads met the inside top of the risers. That line will be the top of my stringer. I drew the same line at the head of the stairs. Using my 30-60-90 triangle, I lined up one side of it with the line I just drew. I lined up the other side with the point where the bottom of the decking meets the outside top of the rim joist. That will become one end of the stringer. I drew a line there. I performed the same operation at the foot of the stairs. I lined up one side of the triangle with the top of the stringer line, lined up the other side of the triangle where the ground met the bottom inside point of the first riser, and then I drew my line. That will be the other end of the stringer. Then, using my architect scale, I marked off 11 1/4 inches, the width of a 2 by 12. I will use that to make my stringer. I did the same thing at the head of the stairs. I marked off 11 1/4 inches. Connecting those 2 points gave me, to scale, the 2 by 12 that would become my stringer. Outlined as a dashed line is the 2 by 12. And here's my stringer. Now, it's a simple matter for me to measure points on my drawing and transfer those points onto a 2 by 12. I know it sounds complicated, but for me it's simple. I can complete the drawing in about 15 minutes. I've seen YouTube videos using carpenter squares to design stringers. I just couldn't get used to doing it that way. This is my first stringer. I used that as a template to cut the rest of them. First stringer installed, and the second stringer. Here I am fixing a mistake, and all the stringers installed 16 inches on center. And then I covered the risers with 2 by 8s ripped to size. and screwed down two 5/4 by 6 decking for the treads. You know, I didn't think the whole thing through when I was designing the boardwalk. I used 2x6s for the rim joists. After I'd built it, I realized I should have used 2x10s as I planned to install 4x4 rail posts to be bolted to the rim joist using a lap joint. A 2x6 rim joist wouldn't be enough meat to secure the posts. I should have used 2x10s like I had for the gazebo. So I made these extenders to fix my error. And this is how it came out. I know it's a kludge, but it worked. And here's the completed boardwalk.